Tonight, we examine Vice President JD Vance's claims about large-scale fraud involving hospice care and social service programs. Allegations, he says, are costing taxpayers millions and in some cases billions of dollars. At the center of this speech is a broader political message about government accountability, public trust, and oversight. But beyond the rhetoric, these claims also raise important questions about how fraud investigations are conducted, how public funds are monitored, and whether legitimate families in need are being failed by the system meant to support them. It is every single day I learn of something new. I learn about people who say that they're claiming for hospice services, but in fact, they're not providing any services. And they're making hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in the process. Talk about something that we've seen in Minneapolis, but also in Maine. We have seen people go out there and say that they're providing services to autistic children when, in reality, they maybe don't have any children yet. Or they certainly don't have autistic children. So they get paid millions and millions of your dollars to provide services that they're not actually providing. And oh, by the way,
what happened to the autistic children and their families who actually need those services and need a competent government to ensure that they're
doing the right thing? My friends, this has gone on for far too long. Claims involving fraud in healthcare and disability services often resonate strongly with voters because they combine two emotionally charged issues: taxpayer accountability and care for vulnerable communities. In this case, Vance frames the issue not only as financial misconduct, but as a moral failure that harms families genuinely seeking support for autism care or end-of-life services. However, critics of this style of political messaging often argue that broad claims about fraud should be backed by transparent evidence and clear distinctions between isolated criminal cases and systemic abuse. So the question becomes, does rhetoric like this strengthen public confidence in oversight or risk increasing distrust in essential public programs overall? Now, let me tell you about a guy, though, who did not stand for fraud. He did not stand for fraud when he was in the state government, and he will not stand for fraud in the United States House of Representatives representing you. And that's Paul Lee. Now, I hate to say this because I love this state. The first time I ever visited Maine actually was probably 4 or 5 years ago actually. It was exactly 4 years ago because I remember our daughter, who's now 4, was probably 3 or 4 months old at the time. And we came up here and we stayed for a week. It was one of the most amazing trips I've ever had in my life. Because this is a beautiful state, as you all know, with incredible people with good food. This is America. This is the very best of America right here in communities like this. And so I have a special affection for this state. But I can't even compare to your great former governor, because while I love this state as an outsider, he loves this state as somebody who has fought for it every single day. A guy who came to work every single day protecting your tax dollars, protecting your essential services, protecting our local law enforcement, making sure common sense that the government actually works for the people who deserve and have the right to be in the United States to begin with. Makes sense, right? That's what it should be.